All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this morning's webinar. My name is Jack Kitzman. I am the Client Success Manager with SwimCloud, which is basically a fancy term for I'm the guy that can talk to people. Right, Kevin?
That's right. You're the PR guy.
I'm the PR guy. In addition to being the Client Success Manager with SwimCloud, I also coach a small club team in the Northern Illinois area. And this morning, in webinars past, we've interviewed world-class coaches who have had world record holders. We've dissected a few of Coach Kevin's swimmers. And today we want to focus on a club swimmer and how we can use SwimCloud race analysis software to really dig into and help improve performance along the way. So I have a swimmer in mind, and that's Jack Kitzman. Jack, do you want to say hello and wave?
How's it going?
Jack is my son. He's 15, and he fits the mold for what we're after today. I'll show you here in a second. Also with me today is Coach Kevin Kinel. He's been with the Duneland Club Swim Team program for how many years, Kevin?
Over 40.
40 years. And the Chesterton High School swim team for a very, very long time. So without further ado, I want to show you what we're after. I'm going to I'm going to share my screen. And we should see some colleges up here. We all good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. This is Jack's profile. I've impersonated him. So as a swimmer, kids can favorite colleges and keep track of things like that. But what I want to show everybody and start off with today is a swimmer's profile. It's ripe with a lot of information, a lot of great information for coaches, both high school, club, and collegiate coaches. So up here at the top, we have Jack's Power Index. That's basically everything we do at SwimCloud is we take data and we assign a number to it. Based on that number assignment, we see that Jack is ranked 28th in Illinois for his class, and he's 381st in the class of 2023 in the country. So,
Jack, how old were you in that picture?
14.
Okay.
Yeah, that was just earlier this year. Then below here we have some of his most recent swim meets, and as you scroll down, these are his latest times. These are his fastest times by event. And then we can also take a look at all the progress. So this is his 50 free throughout time. But most importantly, today, we're gonna have Coach Kinel analyze Jack's 100 freestyle. And as you scroll down to the bottom, club coaches and high school coaches, this is a great screen. So here we can see how Jack in 2 years has gone from about a 58 all the way down to a 49.18. Now, a lot of this has had to do with the fact that in these 2 years, Jack has grown over 6 inches, which is pretty cool. But that biological free ride is coming to an end and fairly soon, I might say. So as the club coach and as the high school coach, how do we keep marking improvements such as this? And that's where we feel race analysis comes in, and that's Coach Kinel's forte. So Kevin, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and turn this over to you. I think I've done everything properly on my end to allow you to do it. Give it a shot.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen, and what we're doing here, yeah, it's going to let me.
Yep, we got it, Kevin. Good deal.
Yeah. Okay, so like Scott said, early in swimmers' careers, as they're starting to get into more training and they're starting to get a little stronger and they grow and they're starting to figure out technique a little bit better, they're getting in better shape, improvement comes really quick. But then there's a point in time, and you put it pretty well, your biological
free ride
kind of does come to an end. A lot of people at that point plateau, and then it gets no more fun. you know, it's fun when you get in there and you're improving all the time and all of that. But then it really struggles. So what we want to do is show you through the SwimCloud technology, and we want to take a deeper dive to get into more than just splits. And so this race analysis is so simple. All we've done is we've uploaded a video, and anybody that has an account can upload a video, and then you can see the video, but you can also analyze it. And so I'm going to click this show in video. This is Jack here, and this was 100 free, and this was from last year's
It was this
winter
spring,
state.
this spring state, yeah, March.
Okay, so 100 free. So if I click the analyze button, it shows Jack here, and it's very faint until I start this race, but there's 3 buttons, and there's 3 buttons listed here: the A button, the S button, and the D button. Those are the only 3 that I'm going to be doing. So the beauty of this too is I can control the speed of it. So, you know, 1 is regular speed, 3/4 speed, half speed. I'm going to do this at 3/4 speed as we go through. And what I'm trying to do is the D button here is going to control the start, the entry, and the breakout. And then it's also going to control the turn and the breakout. The S button is going to denote the cycles. So that's going to give us how many cycles per length he takes, the distance he travels, the rate that he's traveling at. And then the A button, I'm going to do that when his head crosses the 15-meter mark. And then again, you have an option at the end of the race to do it when from the flags in. Here, the angle isn't really good to do the flags in probably, but the rest of this we should be able to get. So I'm going to turn the sound off. I've got it off. So I've hit the D twice now. As his head breaks, I hit the D. Then I'm hitting his left hand. Every time it hits, I hit the A button as his head crossed. When his head dropped, I hit the D. I hit it again as his head breaks, and that gave me a turn time. The beauty of this too is if you mess up, you can just do it again. And as I'm talking, I very well might mess up. So I just got his turn there, breakout, hand hit, hand hit. So every time his left hand hits, I'm hitting the S key. As his head drops here, I'm going to hit the D again, the D again to get a breakout distance. I noticed, Jack, there's not a lot of kicking off the walls. So we're going to have to talk about that. And then I'm going to hit the D one more time as he touches. And that's going to give me these bars. And on these bars here, the blue part denotes the underwater. The green here is all the surface information. And then he was 6.1 at 15 meters, which was pretty good. The turns here are what's going on the purple. All right. So the simple thing about this is what we're going to do. Typically, splits are all that we get. And so here we get real numbers and things that we can work on. The 3 things that we really want to focus on are the underwater velocity. And that is basically the time spent underwater and then the distance that you went. That gives us an underwater velocity. The surface velocity is a combination between your stroke rate that we have here and the distance traveled per cycle. And then we also, the transitions, you know, how fast you start, and his entry was 0.6, which is pretty good reaction time from start to entry. and then turns. Okay, the transitions here, and then you're finished. And so we're going to just briefly go through that. And that's really all you got to look at. Some people look at race analysis and make it just so complex, and it's not. So first, if we take the underwaters here, 9 meters off the start, and it's not too bad. You can see the velocity. It took you 3.4 seconds to get there. Your velocity was 2.8 meters per second. That's really good. And look at the difference between it and your surface velocity here, 1.8. So it makes sense that you should try to spend a little more time underwater if you can hold that speed. And off the start here, 9 meters in freestyle, it really is pretty good. The second length underwater here, not so good. Pushing off and not taking many kicks at all, maybe 1 or 2, and that's about it. But you can still see, even though that's a short distance, because of pushing off the wall, you have all that speed. So the goal is to maybe take a few more kicks and extend that out. Here, 5.5, so that's a little bit better. Still real good velocity, and still back under 5. Now, the flags are 5 yards. For somebody that is a freshman, going to be a sophomore, is that right? You really should be able to travel past the flag. So you got to do maybe a little more kicking to be able to do that. And the goal is to go a little further at this real high velocity, and so that you're not going quite as far at a slower velocity on the surface. Now, as far as the surface velocity goes, 1.05 tempo, 1.08, 1.1, 1.1. That's pretty typical of 100. Most people are 1.0, 1.1 in there, so that's really good. Traveling 2.2 meters, 2.2 meters, 2.1, 2.0. So keeping that at 2 meters or better is really good. How do you get that surface faster? Do you have any idea, Jack?
Mm-mm.
One is strength, right? If you go that same tempo, meaning about 1.0, 1.1, and you can travel a little bit further, you hold water better, you travel a little further, that velocity is going to go up. You also could play around with maybe not having quite such a fast velocity in the beginning and give you a little more distance per cycle, and that may do it. So you trial and error. You have to, that's what meets are for, is to try different tempos and see if you can improve that a little bit. Turns, we would like to be 1.0 or better. And now in freestyle, we take this when the head drops and then when we push off the wall. That's our measurement. And here you were the first turn, 0.86, which is awesome. 0.80, the second turn. That's fast. It means you're snapping your turn over, you're getting tight. The last turn, 1.0, that's still, good. So turns are good here. And what I like about this is, and as far as transition goes, now this first one, you see these dots, each one of these dots represent when your left hand hit, and you slow down a little bit going into this first turn. We want to keep even, but these others, this is awesome. You pretty much kept an even stroke rate going into the wall. So you're keeping speed in, and the same thing at the finish here. Okay. And I noticed maybe just a little bit of short stroking going into the wall at the finish. You want to keep that length really strong into the wall, and your kick too. And I'm gonna play this again. Your kick behind you is nice and steady. Look at this. Good, powerful kick, a lot of white water. That's awesome. That's also helping your distance per cycle. But look at this. Maybe, maybe 1.5 kicks.
Mm-hmm.
So steady kick here. And you can see that the bar is scrolling while you're going. And you're into the turns good. But you've got to stay streamlined and work on that kick. And not just when you're racing, but you've got to do it in practice to be able to hold that velocity better. And I'm gonna show that last wall again. Is this maybe one kick? I think
1.5
kick.
maybe.
I have.
So Jack,
At least you
have
can
you
do
heard this
it.
before? Jack, have you heard this before?
Yeah, I've heard it before.
Okay, so all the other coaches know that actually. So I've got the dual pleasure of being his father and his coach, and he doesn't listen to me on both occasions.
Well, the thing about this too is, you got to do it in practice. And now when we were talking before we started broadcasting, your dad was reminding you about not breathing out of turns. And here, one or two kicks and then you're pulling, you're not breathing out of turns, but you can't expect to not do that when you're racing if you do it when you're practicing. And so that's the one thing. The other thing is, off every single wall in practice, you should start to take like 4 kicks or 6 kicks and then start developing that more. And then you'll be able to begin to do some of that in practice.
Kevin,
So,
could this be a good time to talk about, there was kind of a question about strokes versus cycles, and when does that cycle start for us with this software?
So I'll play this again and I'll slow it down. So this is at half speed. You can see here when his left hand hits, that is from left hand to left hand is 1 stroke cycle. If you were talking about just strokes, we'd talk about each hand hit. And generally recognized from USA Swimming and around the world, we denote cycles, not necessarily strokes. So in freestyle and backstroke, it's when one hand hits, and in this case, it's the left hand. And in backstroke, it's also from one hand hit to that same hand hit. In fly, one hand hit to one hand hit, and then breaststroke, we generally do head pop to the next head pop.
When do you, okay, so I think in this one, Jack broke out with his left hand. When is it the second left hand that starts the first cycle?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So the first time the hand hits, right there, okay, and you notice that there is not a dot.
Right.
That's because I hit it here, and that's the beginning of the first stroke cycle. Then when it comes around here, I hit it again, and that denotes the end of the first stroke cycle.
End of the first cycle. Okay.
So if you were to count this, there'd only be 8 here, but it's denoting 9.
Okay.
Right?
Makes sense.
So it's the end of the stroke cycle, correct?
Makes lots of sense. Jack, what do you think?
I think it's pretty cool. It could give people a lot of feedback.
Right.
A lot of stuff to work on. Now I know what I really need to work on in practice.
Well, it's
knucklehead.
It's easy. It is easy to just plow your way through practice and just kind of get it over with. But every practice is an opportunity to race, and it's an opportunity to get better at racing, So I think that the other part of this too is if you started doing it yourself, Jack, if your coach, and in this case your dad, had you doing some of this and slowing it down and doing it, you'd really start to understand it even better. And when you are practicing, you'd be working on some of those things. So, yeah.
Kevin, do you want to take a moment and maybe explain that process? I know it takes a while to upload the videos. That's why we didn't show it. But you want to explain, who can upload a video and who can do the stamping and things like that? And again, what you just said about a swimmer being able to do it themselves.
Yeah. After you do this a while, you get to where you can almost do it at full speed, but it does take a little bit of time. And so if you have accounts for all your swimmers on your team and they can have access to the video, then they can do this themselves. They can go in and they can pull a video up and they can upload it, and then they can stamp it, and then you can take a look at that and you can make comments. And at the bottom here, you can see where you can make comments and you can go back and forth, and the coach could reinforce certain things of it. And it's a great way to be able to have the swimmer learn from this too. And
exactly,
that's the key is education with all this.
Yes, yes. And for the USA coaches that are on this webinar, that comment section is fully, it's has an audit trail, so it is MAP compliant. You know, parents have access to this, so it's not like you're grooming a swimmer. I can show. I'll take control of the screen a little bit later on. Kevin, why don't you make a couple comments down there, and we'll show them where that shows up.
Well,
more kids.
I'm going to say, what about kicking off turns?
There you go. What about it?
You know, something like that. And you can just make comments there, and then the swimmer is going to be able to see it. You can share it back and forth.
Yeah, hit that comment button there. Kevin, also go up. There's kind of a question I saw up there, the table view, the data in table view.
Yeah. So the same thing, if you wanted to just get the numbers straight out, this is the way they look. And you could actually, you know, take a picture of this, send it, and do it that way too. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Very easy way to do that. You could even print this out and post it.
Let me I think that's pretty good. Does anybody have any other questions about sort of the process of how this works? It is incredibly easy. There on our help screen, we detail how we've got some little YouTube videos on how this all works. And most importantly, myself or Kevin are always available to hop on a call and help anybody out. Let me hop on. Oops, there's a question. Oh, that screen that we were showing was from the from basically the coach account. The coach and the athlete section is basically the same. They're all the same. So let me.
I think you should be able to share your screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm back on. So here's that comment. So when the next time that Jack logs into his SwimCloud, here's his feed. So here Coach Kinel says, hey, what about kicking off turns? And Jack in his typical 15-year-old, whoops. So Jack could hop on this. So now Jack can see the race and everything here. You can say, I know, I'll try. And then that shows up on Kevin's. It's just a simple back and forth. But for some reason, we've got to work on Kevin's thing. The other really, really cool part about this application that we have is this share button. And again, keep in mind, Jacob, this is from the athlete's perspective. When a video gets uploaded, by default, the video can be seen by the coach and the swimmer. When the swimmer goes on, they have this ability to share their video. They can just share it with their coach or my coach and college coaches. SwimCloud is the most searched collegiate recruiting database out there. And during this time of COVID especially, there are many, many college coaches that will actually look not only at the race data and the race times, but if the swimmer says that they want their college recruiting coaches to see it, they can do it here. Additionally, here's the link to this video, and the swimmer can copy this link, send it to emails to college coaches. They can post it as their signature line, they can do whatever. So when they hit everyone, it's to their coach and college coaches, or there, and away you go.
And, you know, college coaches don't have to make it the trip to a meet to be able to see the video, the swimmer. They've got the video there. They can do it full screen if they want to just look at it in close detail. They can slow it down.
Just like that.
Exactly. And then they can get all the data. You know, they know if this person is utilizing their underwater. They know if this person is what kind of tempo they swim with. It's awesome.
Yep. It is really, really incredible. And it is a way just to connect the swim to the swimmer and the data so that they can own their own race. And then it just provides a little bit more feedback it's just another opportunity to drive home those points that improve progress, so that once that genetic free ride is over, we can keep improvement going on and on.
Yeah, and if the swimmer does it, they get so much education from it, and they really get a good idea. And I think practice becomes more fun and more purposeful. And when practice is purposeful is when you really start to see success and improvement.
Absolutely.
So that's
Absolutely.
cool.
All right.
Very good.
And any other questions, or that was pretty much our spiel for today. We pretty much covered everything, right, Kevin? Jack, do you want to add anything?
No, I just had one question for Kevin. Is there too much breathing, like on the last 50 or something? Because my dad's always harping on me about alternate breathing and stuff like that. So I don't know.
When I looked at this before I stamped it, seems like you're breathing every 4 the first 50, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Then you go into breathing every cycle.
Yes.
And for 100 short course, you really probably should be able to breathe every 4 the whole way. I really think so. It's short enough.
Got it, Jack.
Again, that is that's training, Jack. You know, did you know? And I tell this to my kids all the time, and they think that I'm like ancient. But when flip turns started, you know, in the very beginning, people would turn. They just grab the wall and turn on push, and then somebody had the crazy idea of flipping and pushing off, and they could do it quicker. And then everybody was like, "You're nuts! You can't do that. You're going to run out of air." But they trained it. And then when people started underwater kicking, well, that's crazy. You can't do that very far. Well, now look at things, you know, it's all trainable, and that's what you got to do. And I saw we had a question there, Scott, and I didn't see it.
Yeah, we kind of addressed that earlier. It was basically, this is from the athlete's perspective, but the athlete and the coach view of this application is pretty well just the same.
Yeah. So Jack, I would try to do that. And when you're doing long aerobic sets, do you know what aerobic is? Sure you do. Okay. When you're doing long endurance sets, you're not going to be able to breathe every 4th like that. However, when you're doing some race kind of stuff and you're doing shorter and you're doing, race rehearsal type of stuff, that's when you got to do the same things that you're doing in the race. You got to be aware of your kicks off the wall. You got to be aware that you're not pulling right into a breath and shutting down all that momentum. That's why your dad is telling you to not breathe out of the walls, because it puts the brakes on a little bit. You want to have a better transition to come in and have all your momentum going forward. And then, work on that breathing and work on your tempo, and work on really from right now in this video. I noticed that you get about to the flags and you don't breathe. That's awesome. On that last length, you don't breathe from the flags in, and you're kind of trying to increase your rate a little bit. That's great. Keep it long. But once that's comfortable for you, then start further back. Start doing it 6 meters instead of 5 meters, then maybe 8 meters. You know that a lot of the good college guys do it the last 15 meters. They just stop breathing. And how? Well, it's trainable. Yeah. So you got a lot of fun stuff in store for you. But all of it helps. So I think if you do this, it makes practice purposeful, and purposeful is fun.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just stopped sharing my screen. There was another question.
Okay.
How did the system know which kid was Jack? And yeah, basically, I'll share my screen again.
Mm-hmm.
And what the process is that once the video gets uploaded, you move your mouse over here and you tag the swimmer. I'll go ahead and do this now. I'll remove the tag.
Yeah.
And so here's the video again. And it knows that it's Jack Kitzman because we tied the video to a result. And so that's another thing. The actual result data is tied to the video data. So
right.
Now we can go in here. Oh, it didn't work, of course. But when the video is uploaded, you basically click on the person that you're looking to analyze.
Yeah.
That's how that works.
So you're basically, you tag the swimmer. So you're telling the people that are looking at this who you're doing it, but
Yes,
you're in control.
Yep.
When you're doing it, you are watching that person, and then you're pressing the buttons just like I did.
Yep.
So that
Yep.
I think answer that it's really simple.
It's really good. Any other questions at all? If so, fire them out there. Otherwise,
while we're talking about tagging it too, I notice when I look at ones that are uploaded from, especially swimmers, not as much for coaches, but especially swimmers, many times they don't tag it, but they'll, on the comments down there, they'll put, I'm in lane 3, I have a white cap on, this and that. That's the reason that we're doing that. So a college coach or anybody can get in there. All they got to do is tap that show in video, and it's going to highlight that person. So that's what that is to do.
Yeah. Really, really, really good stuff. All right, well, let's wrap it up. Next Wednesday at 11 o'clock, Kevin and I are kind of coming up with a system, if you will. So every third week, we're going to feature a club swimmer to kind of promote how race analysis is really easy and accessible and out there for everybody. Next week, we're going to take and review a Division II conference championship swim.
Yep.
From McKendree.
From McKendree University.
Yep. And then the following week, we're going to be interviewing Coach Jimmy Tierney about that swim.
Yep. Trying to tie in, how this thing can be used for everybody at every level, and then how you can integrate training sets and that type of thing to be able to utilize it. So
I have another question popped up, and if people have to hop off, that's great. So the question came up: do people use this with practice video as well? And the answer is most certainly yes, they do. I don't know if you're anything like me, but I've got probably hours of video on my phone of little snippets of kids. This is how I'm going to go to my club coach profile and just show you some things that you can do. And this is just some back behind the scenes functionality. But here are my club videos, and here is a swimmer from practice. She went to the Y during COVID. She found a Y that was open. And so she uploaded a video and tagged it herself and marked it as, practice, shared it with me, and we just went back and forth here. And it was a great way for her to learn. And again, this is USA Swimming compliant. Let's see, I've got some other practice video in here. Here's another swimmer where we went back and forth, and you can upload video directly from your phone. It doesn't have to be on a computer. And here is the video of this young lady and some things that we're working on. When
you take the video too, you should take it.
Yeah, now you tell me.
This way instead of vertical. Right, then it'll show up correct.
Yeah. And so
But this is the best way. You know, you can stamp practice videos too, and it's an awesome way to be able to figure out how far you're going underwater, what kind of speed you are, you know, what's your stroke rate, all of those kinds of things.
Hey, Kevin, as long as you have that up and we still have not everybody's dropped off, I'm going to stop my screen. Show them the compare button. You've got more data than I do.
All right.
Is that a good point?
Sure.
Sure.
Trying to, okay. All right. Well, I could do, actually, I have a couple set right here. This is a 200 free, and then a couple years later, another 200 free from Blake Peroni. High school versus college. Anyway, if I hit this compare here, and then I can hit compare on this one. It's going to put them side by side, and I can take a look at what he was doing in high school versus what he was doing in college, all the way through, you know, less cycles, etc. So you can compare everything. He's going further underwater. We did a webinar about this.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I'm gonna butcher this name, but Coach Lauren Kozegi wrote in a comment, and I just want to share it. They said that, you know, betterment like this is a matter of math. Math is performance. You know, improving 0.6 inches per stroke makes a world of difference. And that John T. Skinner has this info on some presentations on the USA Swimming website. Yes, absolutely. USA Swimming national team does race analysis with their own version of the software. It's a lot more difficult to use and more expensive. Ours is easy, simple, accessible, and free throughout COVID right now.
Accessible for anybody.
Yep. So,
yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Next Wednesday, 11 o'clock, we're going to run through another swim, Coach Kevin and I. And then 2 Wednesdays from now, we're going to interview the swimmer's coach that did that. Jack, thanks for being a good sport. I look forward to it.
Jack, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
You got a few things to work on, Jack.
Yep.
Yeah.
But so does everybody.
Kevin, he'll let you know how he does. And Jack, I expect you to listen to practice. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
Yep.